Ever imagine yourself, standing in a courtroom fighting for justice and using like just the power of words to command a room? That's kind of the everyday life of a lawyer. And today we're going to dive deep into what it takes to become one, especially here in India.
It's a journey, that's for sure. Requires some serious planning and dedication. But lucky for us, we have this awesome report by the Life Skill Foundation to guide us, or LSF for short.
LSF. Okay. So what's the story behind this report and like why should students pay attention?
Well, LSF, I mean, they know picking a career path can be like super daunting, right? So they created this report, Lawyer, Defenders of Justice, specifically for students in grades 8 through 12. It's like a roadmap, for anyone who's ever even like thought about a legal career.
That's cool. So they're cutting through all that jargon and like legalese to really give a clear picture of what it takes to be a lawyer.
Exactly. And they're not just like throwing a textbook at you. This report is packed with real-world insights and advice. Makes it way more engaging than your average career pamphlet, that's for sure.
All right, so let's dive into it. What does a lawyer actually do all day? It seems like a pretty dynamic job,
You're
right?
telling me. Forget about those courtroom dramas you see on TV. It's way more than that. Lawyers wear a lot of hats. They're like detectives sometimes, digging deep into legal issues and researching cases. Then they transform into like wordsmiths, drafting documents and legal arguments. And of course, there's the client interaction side, providing advice, negotiating settlements, and yeah, sometimes even battling it out in court.
Wow, that's a lot more diverse than I initially thought. Definitely not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
So who does LSF say is a good fit for this kind of work?
Well, the report dives into this thing called the Holland Code, which basically matches your personality type to ideal careers. And they say the best lawyers are often investigative and enterprising.
Okay, now I'm intrigued. Break those down for me. What does it even mean to be an investigative and enterprising person, and how does that translate to the courtroom? Or I guess, all the places lawyers work.
So think of it this way. An investigative person loves to analyze, solve puzzles, dig for the truth, just like a detective searching for clues. And an enterprising person, they're all about taking initiative, being persuasive, and yeah, maybe even enjoying a good debate now and then. They're natural leaders, those enterprising types, not afraid to take charge.
That's a pretty cool way to put it. It's like being a detective and a debater all in one. But let's get practical for a sec. What does the actual path to becoming a lawyer in India even look like?
Well, LSF lays out a pretty clear roadmap, and it all starts with education, surprisingly enough. They emphasize that if you're in 10th grade right now, you're at a pretty crucial stage.
All right, 10th graders, listen up. What does LSF have to say?
Hit the books, basically.
No.
Specifically, subjects like political science, history, English, those are super important. They give you a strong foundation, you see, for understanding legal systems and crafting, like those really airtight arguments later on.
So it's all about building that solid base. Gotcha. But what about after 12th grade? What comes next on this, like, legal adventure?
That's when the real legal training begins. LSF recommends aiming for a 5-year integrated law degree after you finish 12th grade. So that basically combines a Bachelor of Arts, a BA, with a Bachelor of Legislative Law, or LLB.
The classic BALLB. It's like a legal power combo. But with so many law colleges in India, how do you even begin to choose? Like, it's overwhelming.
Don't worry, LSF's got you covered. They actually list some top-tier law schools in the report. So for those aiming for the stars, they recommend checking out the National Law School of India University in Bangalore and the National Academy of Legal Studies and Research in Hyderabad.
Those are some big names in the legal field. But what about students looking at maybe other options? Are there like other tiers or recommendations for finding the right fit?
Absolutely. They also highlight, tier 2 colleges like Symbiosis Law School in Pune, Amity Law School in Noida. And for those who want to stay a little closer to home, they just recommend doing some research, finding out about those reputable universities in your specific area that offer those, LLB programs.
That's awesome that they provided that range of options. I mean, finding the right college is such a personal decision. But let's say you're still in high school, right? You're eager to get a head start. Any tips from LSF on how to, like, dip your toes into the legal world a little early?
They do. They actually have this really cool suggestion. Online courses. Platforms like Coursera, Udemy, even Khan Academy, they offer these introductory courses on, legal concepts and terminology. It's a fun way to kind of see if those legal waters feel right for you.
That's a great idea. Like a sneak peek into the life of a lawyer, right? Okay, so we've talked about what lawyers do, how to even start down that path, but let's be real for a sec. What about money? Is being a lawyer in India financially rewarding?
Now that's the million-dollar question, right? Well, LSF doesn't shy away from the numbers. They say that entry-level lawyers in India can expect to earn somewhere between 3 to 5 lakhs per annum.
Okay, that's a decent starting point, I guess. But what about those legal eagles who really soar to the top of their game? What are the earning prospects like at a senior level?
Hold on to your hats. The report suggests that experienced lawyers, especially those with some specialized knowledge in high-demand areas, can earn a jaw-dropping, wait for it, 10 to 20 lakhs per annum, or even more.
Wow, talk about a nice return on all that hard work and dedication. But beyond the big bucks, what's the job market even like these days? Is there even a demand for lawyers, or are we all doomed to, like, fight over a shrinking pool of clients?
Don't worry, you won't need to lawyer up just yet. The report actually paints a pretty positive picture, highlighting that the job outlook for lawyers in India is actually quite promising.
That's a relief to hear. What's fueling this demand?
Well, think about it. As India's economy keeps growing, the need for legal expertise across all sorts of different sectors, that's going to keep increasing too. The report specifically mentions areas like corporate law, criminal law, even environmental law as like fields with this growing demand.
So it's not all just like courtroom showdowns. Lawyers are needed in all sorts of different fields. It's like you're a legal superhero fighting for justice on multiple fronts.
Ah.
But let's say someone's intrigued by the law, but not totally sold on, the whole lawyer thing. Are there other ways to work in the legal world without actually, like, arguing cases in court?
Absolutely. The report does a fantastic job of highlighting related career options. They mention roles like a paralegal, who provides vital support to lawyers, legal consultants, who offer specialized advice, mediators, who help resolve disputes, and even corporate secretaries, who ensure companies are following all those legal regulations.
So many options. It's like a choose-your-own-adventure book for, like, legal careers. But before we get too caught up in all the different paths, let's circle back to something, like, crucial. We've talked about what lawyers do and how to become one. But what about those essential skills? What makes a lawyer truly exceptional in their field?
That's where the rubber meets the road, my friend. LSF emphasizes that it's not just about knowing the law, it's about having like this killer set of skills. Think sharp research and analytical abilities, being able to sift through like mountains of information and spot those key details.
It's like having a legal microscope, right? You're
Mm.
zooming in on those tiny details that, like, make or break a case.
Exactly. And let's not forget communication skills. Super important for lawyers. They need to be top-notch communicators, both in writing, when they're crafting those persuasive arguments, and verbally when they're presenting their case in court or negotiating those deals.
It's like they're juggling multiple languages. You've got the language of law, the language of persuasion, and then just like the language of clear, concise communication.
You got it. And LSF also highlights, persuasion and negotiation skills, being able to convince a jury or like hammer out a fair deal, essential for any successful lawyer.
Makes sense. You need to be able to articulate your points and like win people over to your side. It's like being a lawyer is this combination of like a scholar, a detective, and a diplomat all rolled into one.
It's a challenging path, but man, is it rewarding. And LSF reminds us that beyond those like practical skills, aspiring lawyers also need certain, I guess you could say, abilities.
Abilities. What do they mean by that?
Think of it as those innate qualities, right? The ones that help you navigate like all the challenges of this legal profession. Things like critical thinking, being able to stay calm under pressure, and having like really strong ethical standards.
So it's not just about book smarts. It's about having that inner compass that like guides you to make those ethical decisions even when things get tough.
Exactly. Integrity is like paramount in this profession. LSF really emphasizes that lawyers have this huge responsibility, right, to uphold justice and, advocate for what's right. It's a career that requires not just brains, but also a strong moral backbone.
It's like being a superhero with a law degree. So to sum it all up, it's clear from this report that becoming a lawyer is no walk in the park, right? It takes serious dedication, that specific set of skills, a passion for justice, and a strong sense of ethics.
You said it. This report, Lawyer, Defenders of Justice, it's like a crash course in everything you need to know about pursuing this legal career in India.
Definitely an invaluable resource for any student, even thinking about this path. But what about those who are ready to take that next step? What does LSF recommend?
They actually encourage you to reach out to them directly. You can find all their contact info in the description of this episode. They're ready to answer any questions you have, provide some personalized guidance, and really help you navigate this exciting and sometimes kind of overwhelming world of law.
They're like your personal legal mentors, ready to guide you on your journey. Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into the world of law, with a special thanks to the Life Skill Foundation for this incredibly insightful report. We hope you found this exploration informative and hopefully inspiring too. Remember, knowledge is power, and understanding the legal landscape. That's important for everyone, whether you're considering a career in law or just want to be a more informed citizen.
Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and keep those legal minds sharp.